I was pulling water from the well and looked up at a hawk above me, free in a way I'll never be. Then I froze, hearing a car driving on gravel. The fear knotted in my chest faded when I saw Mother's white van drive past. It meant we were safe from the ones with dark windows. I watched through the tall gate separating me from my home, letting the bucket down as Mother exited with a girl I had never seen before. The rope slipped from my grasp, betraying my shock. Most girls arrived so young they couldn't tell you their own name, so Mother gave them one. But this girl was close to my age, maybe 12. She stood at the edge of the porch, gazing over the hen yard. She didn't look frightened. I tried to remember if I was scared during my arrival. As I crossed back through the gate, locking it behind me, Mother waved. "Rose, come here." I walked to stand beside her and held up the gate keys. Mother smiled. "Good girl, put them back for me later." She placed her palm against my cheek. I closed my eyes and leaned in the way she taught us, staying still until she lifted her hand away. It was easier every time I did it. "This is Lily," Mother said. "You are my most dependable girl, Rose. I'm counting on you to show her how things work here." She moved her hand to Lily's cheek. Lily scrunched up her nose in disgust, but held still, locking eyes with Mother in a direct challenge. My heart raced, and I wanted to tell her it was safer to not fight Mother. I tried to think of a distraction to save the new girl when Mother turned and walked back through the doorway. I didn't dare breathe until the door settled shut. Lily looked at me and said, "Does she do that to everyone?" I took her through the property the way I had been taught. At the hen yard, I said, "The animals are let out at dark and sleep when the heat comes up. I put them away before the heat reaches its peak." Lily stared at me. "Are you talking about the sun?" I looked at her. "The sun?" She pointed up. "The bright thing in the sky. That's the sun." I nodded. "Sure, okay." I looked up and stared until spots blinked into my vision. Lily laughed. "Don't stare at it or you'll go blind." She was strange to me, and I wondered where she came from. Then Mother's cautious advice filled my head. Where girls came from before doesn't matter. Never ask. So I moved on. The garden runs from the south fence to the north hedge. The fence goes all the way around, keeping us safe. I glanced at the iron posts, taller than the farmhouse roof. I had spent my whole life not thinking about what keeps the bad men out. Lily ran her hand along the fence as we passed, staring up at where they ended. "Is there a town nearby?" I thought about it and realized I didn't know what a town looked like. "I'm not sure." She spun to look at me. "How are you unsure?" I shrugged. "I've never left the property. My earliest memory is with Mother in the house." She looked at me for a long moment, then bluntly asked, "Is she really your mother?" I laughed. "Of course, silly." She crossed her arms. "You don't look alike." I almost fell into a giggle fit. "Why would we look alike? You're so funny." I named the hens by the color of their combs. "None of the other girls got to do that." She nodded slowly. "So you're special." No, I just make more of an effort, that's all." She looked at me like she'd smelled something bad. After that, she stood a step further away than before and kept glancing at the fence. It made me sad. I couldn't understand it. Suddenly, Lily stopped walking, and I saw her jaw drop. We were at the cemetery now. She looked over the rows of crosses, each with a different flower planted beneath. She was shaking as she asked, "What is all this?" I got onto my knees in front of a grave. When girls get sick, a cross with their name appears the day after they leave us. I haven't been here long enough to have met every girl, but I still plant flowers. Lily lowered herself beside me and caressed the flower buried in the ground. "A lily." She asked, "Did Mother tell you to do this?" I uncorked my water pouch and poured some onto the lily. Mother placed the crosses as a reminder of those lost to the sickness. But I'm the one who planted the flowers, so the girls still here know they won't be forgotten. Lily gently squeezed my shoulder in support. Then she stood and walked slowly down the row. She stopped. "There was a rose before you?" I came to stand beside her, and the cross had my name on it. I crouched and touched the stem, wondering what the previous rose was like. Mother says a flower is only one in a field. It should never think itself special, just because it shares a name with the one beside it. Lily was quiet for a moment. "You mean you expect to be replaced?" I bit my lip and poured what was left in my water pouch onto the rose. We walked to the infirmary cabin at the far edge of the property, its door facing away from the main house. In all my years on the farm, I had never been inside. My feet knew to slow as we approached. I explained, "This is where Mother takes care of the girls when they get sick. She knows best about these things." Lily walked straight to the other side, almost touching the fence for balance. I snapped my head toward the main house, making sure no one was watching, and raced after her. I spotted her just as she grabbed the door handle. It didn't open. She walked the perimeter slowly, with her hands clasped behind her back, studying it like a puzzle. She noticed the small door in the fence close by. "What's that for?" I followed, whispering, "I'm not sure. Maybe it's so Mother can speak to people without opening the main gate?" Lily asked, "Don't you have the keys for the fence?" I shook my head. "Only for the gate door near the well, and only when Mother gives them to me. She keeps them safe, so we're safe." Lily caressed her chin and kept walking. "Lily, we can't be here. We have to go." She walked up to the window and stopped. The glass had sheets of newspapers glued on the inside so no light came through. She pressed her fingers flat against the glass. "Sick girls need light. Why would you cover the windows?" I answered. Mother knows best about those things. Lily looked at me and shook her head. You care about the other girls here, don't you? I pleaded with her. Can we please go? I was on the verge of tears before she nodded and we left. At dinner, Mother moved around the table the way she always did. She shoved 2 fingers between Ren's shoulders. Fix that posture, dear, or you'll never grow into a proper lady. She refilled Tulip's cup. A growing girl needs her milk. Then Daisy came in wearing a smug grin. She placed a small note beside Mother and sat in her assigned seat next to her, locking eyes with Holly from across the table and running one finger slowly across her throat. Mother read the note, crumpled it in her fist, then circled the table a few times without saying a word. She wanted us all to feel fear first. Eventually, she stopped behind Holly's seat. Holly, darling, you've been sneaking extra portions. Tears fell down Holly's face as she turned her neck to lock her eyes on me, pleading for help. I refused to look away and tried to send her courage. She'd need it. Mother stormed out, dragging Holly behind her. The rest of us did what we were taught, keeping our heads down like the cowards we were. The next day, Lily and I were at the well collecting water when I heard tires on gravel. I felt the danger tingle my spine as I recognized the bad men's car. Get down! I grabbed Lily's shirt and yanked her into the dirt, forcing her to crawl behind the well with me. The car rolled past us with dark windows. It slowed near the well. I couldn't see inside, but the chill running up my spine told me someone was looking our way, trying to peer through the gate to get a good look at us. Lily whispered, "Who is that? How did they get in?" I whispered back fiercely, "They're the bad men. Don't let them see you, no matter what." Lily's eyes widened. Why? What would happen? Mother's voice echoed across the property. "Girls, inside. Lock-up protocol." I watched Ren, Daisy, and 3 others bolt from the fields toward the house. My body was already moving, grabbing Lily's hand and running to the fence door. Once through the gate, I relocked it and felt better, safer. I ordered, "Don't look, Lily, just run." As we ran across the road, I heard the car brake suddenly behind us, but neither of us turned. Once in our room, I lifted one slat of the blind and looked through. A man stood near the car talking to Mother, but he wasn't looking at her. He was scanning the house. When his eyes reached the upstairs, I dropped the slat and pressed my back to the wall. Lily paced back and forth. "I thought you said the fence kept the bad men out." The little ones huddled between us and started crying. Ren said, "What if it's my turn to get sick?" I pulled her into a tight hug. "No, you're still little. The sickness won't take you yet." Lily stared at me, needing answers I didn't have. I sighed. "This happens regularly. Bad men come to talk to Mother. We can't let them see us, or you might end up sick soon after." Lily's eyes widened. "Oh," Ren sobbed into my stomach. Daisy kicked over a cot to get our attention. "Mother protects us from the bad men and the sickness. We just have to follow her rules. Stop whimpering like a crybaby, or I'll throw you out the window for the bad men to see." Ren dug her face further into my shirt. I glared at Daisy as she collapsed onto her cot and closed her eyes, looking very certain about everything. The worst part was how much I agreed with her. Voices from outside drifted up through the window. I let go of Ren to get closer. Mother's stern voice said, "Come back in a week. I'll have one ready for pickup." The bad man laughed. "Ah, did another little girl get the sniffles?" My relief turned into confusion as I looked over the other girls. No one is sick, and Holly should still be in the recovery room. Mother snapped her eyes toward the window, and I ducked out of view. Not willing to risk her wrath, I sat down and realized Mother no longer made me feel safe. The next morning, I was on my way to breakfast when I heard Mother's voice from inside the study. She stood with her back to me, holding a small phone up to her ear. I had only seen the phone once before, but she told me it was none of my business. She said, "The last order of Holly's was processed and shipped out last night." Panic wrapped around my throat as I realized I hadn't seen Holly since dinner. She paused, and I worried she noticed me. Then she said, "Another? Already? Give me a week. I know just the bouquet you'll like." I heard her footsteps, and I moved quickly towards the dining room. During breakfast, Mother stalked behind us as usual. She came to stand beside my chair and leaned down. "How is Lily feeling? Has she seemed tired or slow in the fields?" I didn't hesitate. "She's doing well. One of the strongest I've seen in a while." Mother glanced at where Lily was whispering to the girl beside her. She placed her hand on my shoulder and dug her nails in. "Is there anything you need to tell me, my dear sweet Rose?" With practiced ease, I hid my fear. "No, Mother. Good girl." She kissed the top of my head, and I couldn't help it. My world was suddenly complete. Nothing could have stopped my smile that bloomed. As Mother walked around the table, I thought about how much Mother's happiness meant to me. Then she pushed on Clem's back forcefully, driving her face down into her bowl of oatmeal. My smile disappeared as Mother hissed, "How many times do I have to tell you not to put your elbows on the table? Do you want to go to the recovery room?" Clem shook her head frantically. No, I'll do better. Oops." Splat. A clump of porridge flung off and landed on Mother's cheek. Mother reeled. "How disgusting. Get it off." Daisy rushed over with a napkin. Mother snatched it, leaving nail marks across Daisy's palm. When she was clean, she looked at Clem and said furiously, "It's the recovery recovery room for you," then took Clem's hand. Clem looked across the table at me. "Rose, please." I jumped out of my chair reaching for her. Mother took her first. "Everyone else, sit down. Don't move until I return." Only Lily and I stayed standing. She looked at me as if to ask, "What now?" I shook my head and sat back down, nervously fidgeting with my spoon. Daisy shoveled porridge into her mouth and looked at Lily. "You're next," I snapped. "Stop it with your lies, Daisy." A cup soared just past my face and crashed into the wall. I looked over and saw a furious Daisy, 1 foot on the table, arms still raised. "Don't call me a liar." Lily stood up. "Hey girls, let's not fight. We're in this together after all." Daisy laughed. "Together? I have nothing to do with the rest of this cattle." Lily rushed at her and grabbed her shirt. "Do you know something? Tell me now." Daisy shoved her hard and Lily hit the floor. The other girls ran out of their seats screaming, "Fight, fight, fight." I shouldered past and placed myself between them. "Lily's new here. Stop baiting her." Daisy stepped into my face. "Or what?" I leaned close. "Or I won't put a flower on your grave." She went to laugh but stopped when she looked into my eyes. "I'm the one meant to inherit all of this, not you. Mother chose me for that long before you showed up." I held her stare. "Then why does she ask me to tend to the new ones?" She stuttered. Because I raised my voice. "Ah, her stutter is back." The girls around us laughed and Daisy turned bright red. She kept her eyes on the floor leaving the room. Lily walked over and gently touched my shoulder. "Where did they take Holly? She wasn't here today." I straightened up. "Don't do anything against the rules, and you don't have to worry." She met my eyes. "Have you ever been to the recovery room, Rose?" I clenched my fist and walked out without a word. I passed by the too familiar door to the recovery room and heard crying on the other side. I hesitated a moment before digging my nails into my hand painfully. I took a step toward the door, ready to break all of Mother's rules, when Lily walked up behind me and put her hand on my shoulder. "I have a field shift. Come with me. We need to talk." She walked past me and I followed after. We walked the vegetable rows, her eyes always on the fence, and said, "The fence isn't keeping bad things out. It's keeping us in." I insisted. "Mother says outside isn't safe, that bad men will hurt us, make us sick." Lily sighed like I was annoying her, which annoyed me. My hand went numb and I decided to trust her with what I'd heard. Earlier when the bad men came, I heard Mother through the window. She told them to come back to pick one of us up in a few days. Lily went still. "We have to do something, right?" We looked at each other and I walked forward faster, watering as I went. She screamed, "I don't think this is good for the cucumbers, Rose." I stopped and forced a smile. "Fine, if you don't want my help." I turned to leave. She grabbed my hand and it went numb again. "I need your help. I haven't seen Holly since they took her." I lowered my head. "Mother told me, sometimes flowers don't survive being picked. Focus on the ones that are blossoming." She looked at me with something close to disgust. "Do you not care?" My voice cracked. "Of course I care. I'm doing everything I can to keep the girls here safe." She chewed on her lip before asking, "Has any girl ever tried to leave?" Terror turned to fire in my lungs. "No," she asked. "Have you ever wanted to?" My breath caught and I doubled over. Tears filled my eyes and I couldn't explain why. Lily watched me like a flower whose stem had just broken. I walked away, the whole time repeating to myself, "Mother loves me. Mother loves me. Because who am I if Mother doesn't love me?" I entered my shared room where half a dozen girls slept in small cots laid throughout the room. The moonlight came in through the windowsill and I walked over, drawn in by an old memory. I thought of the small carved wooden bird that used to sit there. A girl named Pansy carved it for me when I was only 6. Every morning after Pansy got sick and left, I'd look at it on my windowsill and say, "Good morning, Mr. Birdie. What a beautiful day." One morning, it was gone. Mother stood by the windowsill instead. I sat up in bed. "Mother, where's my birdie?" She placed her fingers gently on the open window and said, "Rose, do you know what happens to a garden when a gardener becomes too fond of one flower?" She roughly slammed the window shut with a bang. "The other flowers die." I flinched as she turned toward me. "The gardener neglects everything else because she cannot get over a single bloom that was never meant to last the season." She pulled a handkerchief from her pocket. A pile of ash fell out. "The bird is gone because the girl who made it is gone. And keeping the dead," she tossed the handkerchief at my face, "is the same as joining them." I wiped the soot off my cheek with shaking hands. Mother leaned in. "I see potential in you. One day this farm will need tending when I'm gone." She frowned. "But I also see you care." An evil smile grew on her face and she grabbed my arm. "Maybe that's something I can remove from you, like a thorn in the skin." I blinked and was back in the room. The girls slept peacefully in their cots around me. I collapsed into my bed. A few days later, Lily and I were carrying baskets of vegetables and waved hello to Clem, walking the opposite direction. When we got close to the infirmary, Lily spoke. "I found a loose board at the foundation. I think we can fit through." I stopped walking. "You want to go inside?" Lily responded. "Well, yeah." I blinked. "To where sick girls go." Lily flung her hands into the air and sighed. "Ugh, you annoy me, Rose. I know you aren't this stupid." She kept walking and I shifted from foot to foot before following. When I came around the corner, she was crouched in the dirt, gripping a loose plank. blank. I rolled up my sleeves. Let's try together. We pulled on the board for several minutes before we fell into the dirt, exhausted. We failed. Lily huffed. This sucks. We need a crowbar. I helped her up. I know where to get one, but we should come back when the sun isn't above us. Lily smiled. Hey, you called it the sun. I intertwined her fingers with mine and kept walking. My friend Pansy taught me how to carve animals from wood. Lily's eyes widened and she swung the arm I held. That's so cool. Can you make me something? I frowned and lowered my head. We should focus on the plan to come back here. She squeezed my hand. Together? I nodded. Together, when it's safe. We made it only a few steps further up the path before I saw Daisy and Mother waiting for us. Daisy's face practically glowed with joy. Mother looked furious. Rose, where were you just now? I let go of Lily's hand like it burned me. Nowhere, Mother. We were just someplace you shouldn't. So let's take you someplace you belong, shall we? Mother grabbed my wrist and dragged me away. Behind me, I heard Daisy say, I've been waiting for this. My shoes left a streak of dirt down the hall as I struggled against Mother's grip. We reached a door with a lock on the outside. The recovery room was a small closet off the main hall. When I was younger, I could crouch inside. Now there was just enough room to stand. Mother, no, please. Mother looked down. Begging is an ugly look on you. She shut the door and my world went black. Girls who went into the recovery room could come out anywhere between an hour or days later. It depended entirely on how Mother was feeling. I held my arms out. Both walls were within reach of my palms. I clawed at the door. Please, someone, let me out. I felt deep grooves under my fingers, carved by the nails of previous girls. I closed my eyes, pretending to be in the garden with Lily and Ren. I imagined the sun on my face, and suddenly there was light on my face. The door opened and Lily stood there, relieved. Thank goodness. I was so worried. I was speechless. No one had saved me before. She pulled me out by my arm and I let her crush me into a hug. She smoothed the back of my hair until my body stopped shaking. Rose, you ready to break another rule? I wiped my snot away. Yeah, Lily tightly gripped a flashlight in one hand and my arm in the other as we walked up to the infirmary in the dark. I held the crowbar and wondered if Mother would throw us both into the recovery room together if we got caught. Lily knelt in the dirt and felt around for the loose board. When she found it, I came over and we used the crowbar to pry the board completely off. It opened just wide enough to crawl through. Lily went first. I followed after, wondering the entire time what Mother would say if she could see me now. Inside, the air was so thick I struggled to breathe, though that could have been the terror stuck in my throat. Lily moved past a few cots with rope and strips of cloth attached to each corner. I went to the desk nearby and opened the top drawer that held a stack of folders. Each tab had a flower name. I opened the one labeled Pansy. My voice shook as I called out, Lily. She rushed over and read, $20,000 for an order of pansies. Lily's eyebrows drew together. We looked at one another and horror consumed us. Someone paid Mother for my friend. Her photograph was inside the folder. I pressed both palms flat against the desk while Lily went through the other. I recognized a lot of the girls. She sold them, Lily said quietly. I said nothing. Rose, she sold all of them. I finally made myself speak. The bad men, they weren't coming here to threaten her. Lily closed the last folder. They were buying. I glanced at the rope on the bed and flinched. Lily, we need to go. She nodded and put everything back exactly as she found it. When we went outside, I couldn't make myself walk, so Lily walked me. I asked, how do we escape? She nodded. The fence is our biggest problem. I closed my eyes. I know where Mother keeps the key. I thought of the many ways everything could go wrong and turned to Lily. You have to lock me back up so Mother doesn't notice. Lily scrunched her nose in disgust, but slowly agreed. Thankfully, Mother let me out the next morning and led me to my chair for breakfast. She placed her palm to my cheek and said, I hope you learned your lesson, Rose. I smiled and leaned into her touch, only I didn't feel the usual love. I felt dirty. When she moved on, Lily met my eyes across the table. I mouthed, don't react. I looked over the table and wondered if anyone would come with us. I knew the little ones. Ren and Clem would follow me because they always had, but would it be worth the risk to talk to other girls? I looked at Daisy, who was already giving me the stink eye from across the table. During reading hour, I sat close with Ren and Clem and whispered, do you girls want to come somewhere with me? It's far away, and you can't tell anyone else. They looked at each other, then at me, and nodded seriously. Ren took my hand. Rose, we trust you. Clem smiled. Yes, you read to us. I was about to explain more when Lily caught my eye from across the room and waved me over. I told the girls, start wearing 2 pairs of socks on each foot, okay? They looked at me like I was crazy, but agreed. I went over and stood next to Lily to plan. Just then, Mother walked into the room and went straight to Ren. Mother pressed her palm against her cheek, more forcefully than usual. Oh my, Ren, you have a fever. I'll need to take you to the infirmary. She held out her hand. Everyone in the room got quiet and watched with fear. Anyone near Ren moved away as Ren turned pale. She looked at me and I felt her fear as if it were my own. Lily grabbed my my arm, and I realized I had already taken a step forward. Lily whispered, "We'll get her tonight, and then we go." I bit my lip and gave Ren a smile. She looked hurt by my reaction, but took Mother's hand and let her lead her out of the room. That night, Lily and I sat at the edge of her cot in the dark. She looked at me. "Ready?" I breathed in the scent of my shared room for hopefully the last time, and nodded. "Let's go." Lily grabbed our things while I crept to Clem's bed and put my hand over her mouth. Her eyes shot open, then relaxed when she saw me. I put my finger to my lips. She whispered, "What about?" I covered her mouth again, just as Daisy let out a loud snore. We both stared at her as she tossed in her bed. Every movement she made felt like the whole plan was collapsing around us. Clem zipped her lips with her fingers. We moved quickly and quietly to Mother's study. The door was never locked. Mother believed we feared her too much to enter. I went to her desk and opened the left drawer. My hand found the iron key before my eyes did. I pocketed them and was back in the hallway in under a minute. It felt too easy. Things with Mother never were. I led us out the back and across the yard toward the infirmary. Almost a decade of walking the same routes meant I could move in the dark with ease. Through the vegetable rows, I kept us at a pace fast enough to matter and quiet enough not to get us caught. Every step I expected someone to step out of the shadows and yell, "Got you." But we reached the infirmary without issue. Lily and Clem slipped through the loose board, going inside. I pressed my hand flat to the wall for 1 second, feeling someone's eyes on me. Then I went in after them. I heard Ren before I saw her as she cried loudly. She looked like a doll on the cot, cloth wrapped at her wrists and ankles. My throat closed up as I choked back a sob. I rushed over and brushed the hair from her face. "Don't worry, Ren." She looked up. "Rose?" I had never been so glad to hear my name. "I'm here, and we're leaving together." She cried harder and mumbled thank yous as Lily and Clem worked on the other ties. I covered her mouth with my hand. "Shh," sneaking out. That means be quiet. Her head bobbled and her snot ended up on my hand. I wiped it on the cloth. "Ugh, let's go." The four of us approached the fence gate. My hands were shaking as I fit the key into the lock. Relief flooded me as it unlocked and swung open. But as the others stepped through one by one, once again, I felt like everything was too easy, like we were being watched. The well was just ahead of us, and Clem skipped past me, eagerly taking in her newfound freedom. When the farmhouse light came on, we froze. Clem squeaked, "Is Mother awake?" I said, "She isn't," then turned around and proved myself a liar. Mother stood by the well, one hand on her hip, the other holding a lantern. I don't know how, but looking into her eyes made it clear she knew everything. The lantern made our shadows grow against the trees. It was the smallest and tallest I had ever felt. Her gaze dropped to my hand, to the key still in my fist. Stealing from me now? My. Lily is quite a bad influence. My cheeks burned red with embarrassment. She sighed and adjusted her dress. "Come back inside, children. We'll talk in the morning." Ren's hand found mine. I hid her behind me. Lily stepped between us and Mother. Mother watched with a raised eyebrow. "You have no records, Rose. I am the only person alive who knows you exist. What life could you have?" She reached her hand out. I had spent years wanting to take her hand. Even now, I moved toward her, knowing everything. Mother smiled. "I don't see you the way I see the others. I see you as mine. Someone who knows every inch of this ground. Someone to care for it when I'm gone." I heard my own breathing coming too fast and pressed my hands to my knees. Lily was watching me, still full of confidence. She still believed in me. Ren and Clem's whole bodies trembled from cold and fear, but they stood up straight. They trusted me. Mother's smile was warm and patient. Both actions shattered my heart. Then I looked at the trees. "Run." We ran. Behind us, Mother's voice sent a shiver down my spine. "The world doesn't want you. I'm the only one who does." We didn't look back as the trees took us in. Branches hung overhead, cut into our skin, while dead leaves crunched under our feet. Hours passed, and my lungs burned as I carried Ren on my back. Clem stumbled, and Lily caught her. We kept going, one foot in front of the other. Ren's grip on my shirt the only thing keeping me from giving in. I wouldn't let them down. Then I smelled something delicious, and my mouth watered. Suddenly, all four of us were rushing forward through the trees toward the smell. Several pairs of eyes looked at us in shock as we ran into a clearing. Adults, younger than Mother, sat around a fire built inside a ring of stones. At first, I worried it was a trap or a group of bad men. A woman stood up slowly, both hands raised. "Hey, it's okay. We won't hurt you." Her voice was nothing like Mother's. Someone placed a blanket over Ren's shoulders, and she started to cry. After a while, I sat against a tree and watched the others get comforted and fed by the adults around them. Maybe we'd be safe after all. Then I fell asleep.